Yeah, we're here. All right.
Brian.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah, Noel. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, here we are for the last panel of the day. We are so lucky to have these consumer wearable rock stars up with us, from the biggest of the big to the getting bigger of the not so big to the somewhere in the middle. And we are just thrilled to have everybody here. So let's just start. Tell us a little bit about yourself, like really, really briefly, how you got into DrumPants and where it's going.
Hi, my name is Lief, CEO of DrumPants. I met my co-founder Tyler, who had a prototype for the DrumPants, and I think I should kind of demo it for you guys right now so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, let's get a DrumPants demo.
Are you guys ready?
Woo!
So it's
Any Zeppelin riffs or anything?
Zeppelin, no, man. Why do you have to ask me to do John Bonham, man? That's hard. John Bonham.
All right, give him a big hand.
thank you. That's Tyler.
Great.
the
So how did
co-founder.
he come up with the idea, and where is it going? Is it just going to be about drums?
So Tyler came up with the idea when he was hanging out with his friends at UCSC, and they're all musicians. They're all just sitting on a couch on a Saturday night, and everyone's just kind of tapping on their legs, jamming to themselves. And he looks around, and he's like, "Wait a minute! This should be a real product. You should be able to make real music that way." And that's how he came up with his first prototype. Since then, it's definitely evolved. We've gone from having drum pants to only a modular sensor system, and where we eventually want to go is a wearable controller platform. So right now we are triggering drum sounds or other music MIDI samples so that you can create music, but really you can map any of our triggers to keystrokes. So you can advance slideshows, you can skip songs on Pandora. You can think of it as a controller, like a gaming controller that you can wear on your body, so you can play games for the first time outside of the living room, going where Nintendo Wii, Leap Motion, and the Xbox Kinect can't go.
All right. Woo! All right, got to work some music into this. Next up, Lief Storer. Tell us your story really, really quickly.
All right, we got started back in 2009. I was just looking for an alternative to headphones to ride my bike to work with. So I took a Japanese vinyl toy design and hacked that apart and made my first handmade wearable speaker using a walkie-talkie clip. And from that point, beyond just biking to work, I saw these other verticals where it was really fun to use. So we're skateboarding with it, we're skiing with it, and all of a sudden, I became enamored with the idea of creating a brand around wearable audio and hands-free devices. So the product Tyler was just using to demo DrumPants with, these are Boombotix, and they're smart, programmable, customizable speakers that you can do pretty much anything with, and we have a mobile platform as well that
So you could be like on a bike and crack up, and those won't be damaged.
Yeah, it's pretty safe to say these things can really take a beating pretty well, and we really stand behind our product and create a brand that's positioned to be a real player in the space.
So how do you sell when you've got folks who are selling, just tons and tons of headphones, and you're like a small, barely capitalized company? How do you compete with, folks love your stuff, but how do you as a company grow into, pardon my expression, a monster?
Monsters are scary for sure, but if you're doing the David and Goliath battle, you got to play dirty. You got to go where your competitor is not, and creating community around your brand and going to places where your competitors don't quite have that reach or that positioning. That's really what's made GoPro the strength that it is today, is taking an aspirational lifestyle and really involving the people that are key influencers within a specific space before you can even think about attacking the mass market in a way a larger company like Monster does?
So kind of two-part question, Noel. First off, how did you get started? And then now that you've grown to like where you and Beats and Soul Republic and a couple others are kind of filling the market, how do you grow from here given the fact that so many people already have your products?
Well, it seems like there's no saturation point, which is great, because there's what, 800 million
800 million
iPods, something like that, iPhones. So we're a little portion of that, and I think that, it's just like when we're selling our products. Is gosh, where does it end? Because we're shipping so much Beats products. Is what do people do with them? They must eat them or something. But there's kids have kids. It's an ongoing market, so it's really exciting that if you have something that people want, the world is a really, really big place. The U.S. is a big place, but you go to China, you go to Europe, India, where all Brazil, where the World Cup is. It's a phenomenal, great world up there to be able to sell products. So there's no saturation there going on.
Do you have any idea, like, how many people buy, like, I'm going to buy one set of headphones and then it's between all the different choices versus people saying it's a fashion statement and they buy 5 or 6?
Well, the data, they had enough historical data. The average life of a headphone over $100 is about 2.5 years, and people look to trade in. But also, it's an interesting statistic that people have, I forget what the percentage is, over 50% have more than one headphone. So they have 2, and then a few have 3. So if you're working out and exercising, okay, that's a one type of headphone, which we have as iSport. And if you want to like really bling out, and you got what Shirley had on, the 24Ks, but you don't want to have those around your neck all the time. And maybe you want something that's inexpensive to give kids and stuff. So you really, the market is just so huge. But I think, how many of you have more than one headphone? Raise your hands. Okay, so look at that's more than half the audience. So I think that market is great, but that's the beginning. So you talked about expansion. That's why we're interested in wearables, because a headphone, especially a headphone that you put in your ear, that's a wearable. And I saw some products downstairs where, the ear, where the doctor says, "Hey, let me measure your temperature," he sticks that thing in your ear, right? Yeah. So a lot of sensory body functions, neurons. That's where it goes, man. It's great.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I have a pair of the Diamond Tears, and I caught my daughter wearing them to school one day, and she didn't even have like a device to play them with. She was just wearing them because they look cool.
They look good.
So as of now, we've kind of got the benchmark in portable devices. I mean, you've got a more interesting design than a lot of people. You've got some new sort of controllers. You've got a bunch of lines. Where does this extend? Do people start putting chips in them to add smart features? Do they, what are people? What do you guys think? Do you think it's just going to be like fancier styles and better designs, or do you think there's actually going to be some advances in the technologies that move these wearable music things forward?
I mean, I've also been pretty fascinated with what will happen with just the concept of device consolidation. You see how many devices are now compacted into what's now the smartphone. I sometimes worry for players like GoPro, what happens when you put a 4K camera inside maybe something even smaller than a smartphone and it has that full display. Is there going to be that one do-it-all device? And personally, that's kind of, would be my dream, is that I have this, small pocket-sized device that does everything that all these wearable devices make. I, dislike having to charge 4 different things when I come home. So I'm a huge fan of consolidation in a smart way.
Yeah, I definitely think there are too many devices out there, and having to keep them all charged is a full-time job in and of itself sometimes. Something else that I'm really interested is in contextually aware products and figuring out how we can take all of these devices that we are using, and how can we as designers and as product manufacturers make them empower the people who are actually using it. So right now, all of these devices, you're doing work by having to charge them, or maybe as you go throughout your day, you have to keep switching from different types of headphones to different types of headphones because none of them are really adapting to you as you're moving throughout your day. I think it'd be one of the things that we are exploring is looking at how we can have a modular system in place with a contextually smart app that as you move throughout your day will know exactly what you want your wearable controller to do. So you're not spending the time programming it, teaching it. It's just responding to you and giving you what you want, what you need, so that you can be the most natural and normal person, the most empowered person that you can be as you go throughout your day and your lives.
My vision, a headphone should be instant music, weightless. Maybe you don't even see it. Maybe on your DrumPants you go like that in place, right? So, I don't think people like to carry around big or small headphones. So I just put myself out of business. Keep buying them. That's okay. But, the headphone of the future may not even look like a headphone, may not feel like a headphone, because you just want to be able to hear instant music, and you want to hear it really lifelike, like you're in front of an orchestra. But maybe you want to just amplify sound, hear conversations that are difficult to hear, and when you get as old as I am, you can't hear it all. Would you say, Brian? Yeah. Okay. So, but sensitivity to hearing and health issues, and some people are deaf in one ear, not in the other ear, this kind of thing. So my headphone of the future is no headphone. It's like you don't have a headphone.
Will it be incorporating some of these other health features or wireless? Do you think that people are going to, will you eventually build a phone into your headphones, or how will you get the music immediately, and is that part of what you're doing, or are you going to let others and it just jacks in?
Well, that's the dream. Huh? So that you will it, and it'll be there. So whether it measures body functions and that kind of thing is really, where it is on your head. That's just a great monitoring place. So I think that's okay, but that's not the real. That's a side benefit, okay, of having something in your ear. But I love music, man. If I can hear Led Zeppelin hitting my drum pant, that's what I want to do.
What was I telling you? I asked him for the Led Zeppelin anyway.
There you go.
So what do you? Just a little mentoring here. It's there are these big companies. There's Beats by Dre, there's Monster, there's Soul Republic, there's Skull Candy, and you guys clearly have great branding. You guys have great manufacturing relationships. You have the capital to back it up. What kind of suggestions do you have for folks who are building really cool products but don't have the resources on both the manufacturing as well as the marketing and distribution sides?
Okay, if that's for me, let's take online, which I've taught to a lot of the folks downstairs. How do you sell a product? We go direct to consumer. But direct to consumer online is about 15% of sales overall. So that means 85% is still through traditional retail. So my advice is to build your relationships with traditional retail. And here's what they want. They want for you to help them make money. So that's selling product. And they want you to help them drive customers into the store. So if you got a really unique product like DrumPants, it's up to us, all of you, to market it in such a way that people say, hey, well, where do I go buy that? Okay, I go buy that at Target. Okay, so that can be done online. So we're when I started 35 years ago, I had to go door to door. Okay, there was no blogs, there was no internet. I had to do one demo at a time. You guys are in such a fortunate position that you're able to get other people to talk about you. I had to get a person told another person, but you can go to millions of people. So I think it's a wonderful time to build up that rapport with the customers, drive them into retail, build a relationship with retail so you are important to them. If you're just trying to sell your product, there's thousands of people who want to do that.
Well, I think on the other flip side to that, looking at the stats every year, e-commerce gains 3 to 5 points on retail volume year after year, consistently for the last 5 years. So, I kind of look at even 6 to 10 years down the road, it might be somewhere around the lines of 30-70, 40-60. Retail is still a way to drive a lot of volume, but there's something to be said for really investing in e-commerce and having that direct-to-consumer pull. And there's also part of retail where I guess we view retail as something where a retailer is kind of like a brand evangelist that is placed, throughout the world, throughout the country, and you need those people to evangelize your product in real life. So, we try to treat a retailer just like we do a customer, and try to get them to talk about your product as much as possible, which, at the end of the day comes back to having that phenomenal product that has a story to tell and has enough content to give a retailer or even a customer that's already purchased your product enough ammo to go talk to their friends and brag about it.
I got a little comment on that. Okay, so if we talk about experience selling, there are so many products that unless you experience it, you don't get the full flavor of it. So maybe your speaker product, you kind of have to hear it, you have to kind of put it on you. And for headphones, I think whatever the business is going to be, that you can't experience it unless you hear it. Okay, so it's kind of hard to hear it online, or a loudspeaker that you can't experience, or and if it's a wearable, okay, so if it's a jacket, gee, how do I buy that jacket with all these things that I can't experience? So I think there's a combination of the two. But if we look at, and if you look at the Bluetooth speakers, for example, every retailer has a button that you push, okay? Because before I spend $100 or $200 for a speaker, I want to be able to hear that thing. Do I like it? So you go to a Target or a Best Buy and you start pushing the buttons, and then you might go online. So that's called showrooming, So that's really a tough situation for retailers. But I think all of us, when we go shopping, we like to see it, touch it, feel it, okay? And then that causes us to buy. So combination of both, right?
Let's have a big hand for this panel. Thank you all. Yay!
Thank you.